What's up, YouTube? Today I learned some disturbing news about Penance Brand that kind of made me reevaluate the best beginner skill for Aura Stacker. Now, I played Penance Brand today instead of Spark. Spark just has a few too many downsides for me personally. So today's discussion will be about the skills. I'm going to go over my build and gear overview. Because when people start playing an Aura Stacker, they always wonder what skill should I play first. Because there's always so many skills you can use. You can use EK, you can use Winter of Ice or whatever it's called, you can use Winter Orb, you can use Crackling Lance, you can use Arc, you can use Spark, you can use Penance Brand, you can use Storm Brand, you can use Arcanist Brand, you can use Wintertide Brand. The list goes on and on. But for our consideration, we're mostly going to talk about Spark versus Penance Brand versus Storm Brand. Because those skills are the ones that most people will probably be trying out. Some people will also try out EK, but EK suffers from the same problem as Spark in my opinion. So I'm going to talk about that, and then we're going to go into the build and gear overview of my current character, and I'm going to include maybe some bossing clips of my... I don't know what boss I did. I think I did an invitation, and it honestly was not very inspiring for Penance Brand for the invitation, but it was done deathless. So there's that. So let's get straight into the skill discussion and what skill I personally ended up choosing, and I think I will be staying for the foreseeable future. So this gem is the whole crux of the issue, because I've always been a staunch advocate of Penance Brand because it is the best beginner skill in my opinion because of its mechanics. Now you can see here, this skill is the pre-nerf version actually. I don't know why PoE Wiki actually doesn't update it. So what this skill does, or support gem does, is it makes the brands activate more frequently. And what this means is that Penance Brand has to reach 20 stacks to reach its maximum damage with explosion. Each stack does exponentially more damage than the previous stack. So if you don't actually reach 20 stacks, then your damage will actually be really, really low when it expires. Now the problem with this is that in 3.15, okay, let me turn that off. In 3.15, it now has a 150% mana multiplier, which is not the worst thing in the world, but the main important thing is its activation frequency is now 30 to 44% rather than 45 to 64%, making that around like a 30% nerf, right? Yeah, it's like 20% less. Yeah, around 30% nerf. So what this means is that we are no longer able to reach the maximum amount of stacks on Penance Brand really easily. Now for map clearing, this doesn't really matter because you get Holy Conquest. And for Holy Conquest, it pretty much doesn't matter because every 0.3 seconds the brand jumps to another mob and then it rips it off. So this is the Holy Conquest notable. But the problem is for single target, it feels extremely, extremely bad on Penance Brand. If you watch the invitation that I will include with Penance Brand, the single target is nowhere near what it used to be like before with like the same budget setup. Now, some of it obviously is also because of something else that's actually really bad, is the fact that crit chance is horrible now without, what's it called, Diamond Flask or Bottle of Faith having the actual increase the base crit. So what this means is that for our crit chance, we have around like 42.32, even with Bottle of Faith up, it's like 51%, right? 51% is absolutely atrocious. With power charges, you'll probably be around like 55, 56%. So what this means is for Penance Brand, you will not, half the time you won't crit, and half the time that means you'll do 1/3 damage. And a lot of times you will also just have multiple explosions that do not crit. So you can have 3 seconds of where you'll do 1/10 of the damage that you normally would do. So for single target, it feels really inconsistent and is really unenjoyable to play. So that is why I have decided to play Storm Brand for the foreseeable future. Now, Spark's problem is that Spark is really bad when going through a lot of corridors, and some maps are really bad because Spark can't go above terrain. Like if you're on a cliff and there's an edge, Spark will not go above the cliff. So if you're trying to do Promenade map, so later on I'm probably going to be doing Lexajoris and spamming Promenade with Delirium, as Promenade is in this area. The Promenade map, if you do Spark, it will just get stuck on the staircase, so I think it will be just worse than Brand. And then also Spark requires a lot more gear than Brand, and you also have to always be casting rather than the Brand playstyle where you just put it down and you can just focus on dodging and moving around, and also getting up your Fortify Smite, which is also a huge difference. So the difference between self-cast and Brands is you have more time to smite, you have more time to put up Fortify, and you have more time to dodge mechanics instead of just having to tunnel cast the whole time. So that's why I'm choosing Stormbrand as a skill. Before, I was always going to do Penance Brand, but it turns out that Penance Brand probably needs a lot more gear. You will need a lot more cast speed than before, probably around 20 to 30%. So maybe a solution is to use faster casting your Link once we have the Penance Brand helm. But Penance Brand in the end will probably be the best when you have the gear to reach 20 stacks in 0.9 seconds. But right now, I don't think that's feasible with the League Start gear that's available right now. Now you know why I'm playing Stormbrand. I'm going to go over the gear I'm actually using and the rationale I made for some of these choices. I did have some upgrades today. It's been kind of a slow process. Money's been pretty good, but I just keep trying different builds out, and I just buy a bunch of skill gems for other builds for like 30, 40 chaos each, and it slowly does add up. So we have the same Nebulous, not much to say here. This thing is a piece of trash. I can't wait to get rid of it and get a better one. Same helmet. Zealotry enchant still. Make sure this enchant is an aura that's on your mana pool and not your life pool. This amulet, I realized that I should probably put a crit multi essence or catalyst on it, but somehow I have all of these catalysts, right? But 0 crit catalyst. So I don't really know what's the crit catalyst called. Is it prismatic? No, it's not. Prismatic catalyst is actually worth a good amount. Is it unstable? Oh, it's unstable. I don't really know why I have no unstable catalyst. Maybe I'm just extremely unlucky. So you will want to put this on here, or you can put temper catalyst to get more energy shield. I might go with energy shield actually. We'll see what we want to do to be more tanky. Now the shield. Let's see how much the shield is. So every day I want to try to go over the prices. So the price seems to be about the same for this item. Call of the Brotherhood. 48% is like 1.5x. What is this person buying here? Oh, it's a catalyzed Call of the Brotherhood is extremely expensive, it seems like. And the shafts, I should probably divine for a better roll, 134%. It's out of 150. It's a top end roll, the higher end roll, so it's not too bad. So now we get to the parts that's actually different. We have Asenaths. So we're using these for Explode because Stormbrand's clear is actually pretty mediocre, but with the Asenath's gloves, it's very, very strong. And it's actually probably faster than Spark and Penance Brand without the gloves. I think Penance Brand might still be faster with the gloves. Now these I don't think will change that much in price. If you want to buy them, one of the things to look out for is that you probably want to maybe buy one with +2. So this one's +2 Warcry, not what you want. 9% cast speed is pretty good. +1 Frenzy, but 7x, and then +2 AoE is pretty good. This one I would probably have bought, but unfortunately, I don't have the money right now. So it's around 3x for +2. What that means is you could put your Discipline in here, and you could potentially have Arrogance on your Discipline, which is actually pretty big for aura effectiveness and having more ES. Now I'm using a crystal belt right now currently because I want a more energy shield. And I'm also struggling with strength and dex at the moment. So if I took off this belt, I would not have enough strength or dex. So if I took it off, I would have not enough dex for my, grace and hatred. Ideally, this would be a headhunter. I think a headhunter is a very well-rounded belt for this league. It is not too bad at all, especially with how many rares spawn for the expedition. And obviously, you want a percent ES out of Crusader Crystal Belt, but we're still in the early stages of the league, and it's pretty early, so that's kind of expensive. Now, if you want it to be really optimal, you would probably still use a Darkness and Throne, and you have ES and Chaos Res, except you need to get RMR on these jewels, because if you take this one, you would need Dex on this too, and it would be fine. If you take these two, I think this one is slightly more ES than Darkness and Throne. Because Darkness Enthroned is actually, I think Darkness Enthroned is more ES if you have 35 energy shield, max chaos res, and you can get 2 other suffixes on it too. So Darkness Enthroned is a very good option, but I just went this one because it was a lot cheaper than to find these jewels that probably don't exist to get a 30 ES and max chaos res and another stat on it, and dex. Now for the flask, I did buy Bottle of Faith. Bottle of Faith, I think, is actually one of the highest damage flasks that you can use on Pop for the build. And I'm using a silver flask and then a diamond flask. Quicksilver flask of adrenaline. And all of these are auto triggered. If you want to know how you can trigger all of these flasks at once, just check out my last video and I explained that you just have to pretty much enchant it with use when charges reach full. Now, my passive tree, it changed a little bit. So before, when I was playing Penance Brand, I was using the cluster of Brand Loyalty Holy Conquest, but now I'm not, since you don't need this cluster for Storm Brand. So what this means is that I'm able to reach 300%. Before, I was using a Glorious Vanity. I was putting it here, and it was actually really unoptimal because it would change this 6% ES node to some random node. So big change here is that I don't really need all of the mana reserve at the moment. So what I'm doing is I'm buying crit multi-jewels that would usually cost a lot more. Like if this one was RMR or reduced skill reservation, probably be like 15x or 20x. And then I'm also using a Transcendent Flesh here that gives me 49% multi. This one gives me 31% multi. So next 3 levels, if I do get the levels, if I ever level up my character because I keep dying, I would definitely put my points into here. And this is super helpful because we actually have low spell crit and it's also 40% multi. Along with, 50% spell crit. So this is actually incredibly strong. So there's a lot of variations on the tree. So we could also save 3 points if we got 3 passive point voices. And yeah, it's gonna be impossible to reach 400% on this build, I think, because you have to take these nodes for a Rune Binder. There's also another option, which is you can use Intuitive Leap here and take this node. And that's what might be the next step for me, because brand attachment range does feel very good and it does give you an additional brand. So another solution could be to get Intuitive Leap here and then get Explosive Runes. So you can see I'm actually not running an insane amount of RMR jewels. I'm missing 1 or 2, 3. So ideally this one, I want to use another jewel, but this is obviously such a waste. So when I level up, I'm going to get a 6 passive point cluster with First Among and Replenishing. And then I'm going to take an extra point to get 300% and then swap this out for another like quad multi-jewel or tri multi-jewel. So this is how you get damage on most builds, is to get as much crit chance and multi as possible. Now it's kind of shitty because without Diamond Flash, this is actually a pretty mediocre spell crit. Even with Bottle of Faith and this, it's 51%. So Hatred Crit Watcher's Eye is definitely going to be in play as one of the items you get really early on. I think those are incredibly expensive this league though, because everyone knows how much spell crit is. So now I'm going to play you a Penance Brand video of the invitation, and I'm going to show like some Storm Brand on a quick like Veritania. And the difference between Storm Brand and Penance Brand damage is insane for single target. Even though I was using slightly different gear, Penance Brand never felt good for single target, and it felt inconsistent and honestly bad. And I pretty much just attribute that to never reaching 20 stacks. But I hope these videos showcase that Storm Brand should be the superior option and the better budget option overall, because you actually don't need the brand clusters, which you actually do need on Penance Brand, because you can't play Penance Brand without Holy Conquest.
We've come this within your heart. You can find what I despise within your mind. All the digits have been made up. You believe what they say. Through the heartache, I would stargaze. No invasion today. We've come this far to win and ride alone. So take your chances to embrace the waterfall.
And yeah, I hope that showcase demonstrates that you should play Stormbrand. I will try to do the Fear probably either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. I do have the gear. I do have the damage to do it too, so it should be doable. Only thing I'm worried about is the Chaos Res, but I'm going to try to get a better belt. This belt is actually an abomination. But the better part about this is I'm already able to swap over out of Maligaros. I actually despise Maligaros, because Maligaros do not give ES, it does not give Explode, and it's just a very entry-level gloves that makes things easier, but it also limits the ceiling, because whenever you want to swap out of Maligaros, it feels so overwhelming. Oh yeah, I'm also using crit damage gem, but Conk Effect is actually more damage, so I'll probably be switching into a Conk Effect after I can buy a Conk Effect, because no one had one that was leveled up. So you can see here, Conk Effect 22784, crit damage 2023, 22391. So with Conk Effect in, I still have without crit damage gem in, I still have 294% multi, and with it in I have 443 multi. So both are pretty viable. You just need a slightly more multi and it should beat out. Conk Effect should win in the end. The more multi you have, the less valuable crit damage gem will be. So if you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe. I do try to stream every day, and I'm trying to post the videos at a consistent time of 8 a.m. PST every single day, so make sure to check that out. I'm going to be doing this build diary series and seeing the progression of this character to the end. And yeah, Expedition League has been pretty good. Log books, I got 2 today. It seems like you get 2 to 3 or 1 a day, depending on your luck and how much you play. It's still incredibly rare. So I hope they do fix the drop rate on that. But other than that, the league is interesting. The rewards is, it could be better, right? But what can you do? We can just either complain or we can enjoy the game and try to progress our character. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more mirrors and exalts than I do, and see you next time.